Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It is October 9th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And another interesting day. The volatility and the volumes picked up a little bit. We're not trending strongly, but you're getting these huge moves in one direction and taking it back in the other direction. And in the end, we're really not going anywhere. I mean, we closed yesterday at 28, just call it 28.95 or so. And then we closed today at 28.88. So, that's about 11 point difference. It's not much difference there. 88 to 90. It's not even 11 points. It's, not 8 or 9 points. So not much difference. And notice how we just kind of traded up and down. And even though this is an uptrend, as long as you're swinging above and below the EMA consistently like this, you pretty much can trade it both ways. I mean, this is a big trading range, but it had an upward bias early, then it kind of had a downward bias to a more neutral bias thereafter. But as long as you're swinging above and below the EMA like that consistently, with these big moves in each direction, you really just have to trade it both ways, because you may not get a lot of moves in one direction, but you may get, I mean, as you can see, even though the bias was more up today, there's more shorts than there are longs until late in the afternoon, because you just didn't get many setups. Once it starts going up, it just takes off, and you don't really get a lot of setups. So let me back out a little bit. We'll talk about the trades, and we'll wrap it up. But you had to be patient today. It took a little while before we had any trades. I mean, the 7 o'clock hour came right in here at this reversal, and it just took off. And so unless you want to enter down here taking a chance at shooting for a bottom, you don't get a chance to go long. And then you get a break here, move to a new high, and then you're just waiting for a lower high to really get a sale, and that doesn't come to right here. So, it's almost 8:45 before we really got a good setup today. You might argue for this right here to be a failed second entry short. Those setting you low and you're moving up, and you get first entry, and then you get a second entry. And there's really a little failed second entry short right here. Notice it goes up first entry, then second entry. So you really could argue for that one. But it's not really back to the EMA, but you are looking for it to make a new high. As long as you got enough room there, you may take that one. I'll mark that one green. But really, that's almost all one move, so you almost could argue for this to be a second entry, a failed second entry short as well. And so I'll mark them both green. But honestly, I think you're better off just to sit and wait. And I was hoping with this big move up, we'd get a lower high here to trade back down, but you don't get it till down here. But there is a reversal pattern. Notice how we shoot right on through the EMA, and you get a first entry, then you pull back, you get a second entry. So there's a two-legged move back to the EMA. If we were just taking the second entry short, I'd say skip that. That bar is way too bullish. But with that being the first break of this trend line and it being a failed second entry long, I like going short there. And it is a little bit of a breakout pullback short as well, just for those that may not be able to see it. And you can see we broke out and came back, and it's a little two-legged move back to the EMA. So I like that for your first short. It's basically a trap, probably going to trap some longs, and you go short. And you might have looked at that as a little failed break lower, but that's not consistent enough to be a range where we're actually had a trend up, a break, two legs to a new high, and now we're trending down. So I'm not really looking at that so much as support right there. You want to be worried about it going short into it, but once we push through and pull back and turn down, it's not going to keep me out of that trade, because we're looking for a new low here. And with this thing turning down where it did, we may get a whole nother leg from here down equal to this leg over here. Didn't happen, but that's a distinct possibility, and you want to try to catch that in case it does take off. We end up bouncing here. You draw your trend line, then you get a third touch confirmation. It breaks a little bit lower, gives you a nice bullish bar. You're a little bit away from the EMA. This is basically a double bottom here. I like going long just to ride that back to the EMA if nothing else, and it just keeps going. And this turns out to be a great trade. But there's really no second opportunity to get in that move. And that's what I was talking about. It's like it decides to, everything that went up just shot up like a rocket, and you don't get a whole lot of opportunity. Now there is a pullback here to the trend line, but we already had a little bit of an overshoot right there, and we're right back into these highs. So you never know, and it just kind of goes sideways, pushes up, but you do get a lower high here with still a little bit of room. But at this point, I would be looking for it to come back to at least the midline and maybe all the way back to the trend line. And like I said, because you're going back and forth each way, you can trade this both ways. And this looks like a nice little reversal here. And you get a real small bar. It looks a little like a doji, but it closes more on the lower end than really the mid. It's a small bar, maybe three ticks. That's a good low risk entry. It's good for a scalp, and then it bounces, so you don't really get anything big there. But it does give you a little reversal pattern. This is basically one here. It's not a failed second entry short, but that signal bar is no good. Then you get an inside that's bearish again, so I don't like that. It does push up and pull back and give you that failed second entry short. It actually turns down and then turns and goes out the other side. If you got room to get out before getting back up here, I like that one. And in the end, this just keeps going. So, and again, you don't really get another good opportunity because you don't want to go long right there into the trend channel line. You don't know that it's going to push through and give you this big overshoot like that. So you can't really go long right there. And you sure don't want to be going long way up here above, so far away from the EMA. But notice you get your break. You get two legs up to a new high and it sells off. I mean, that's tempting right there, but that one was even tempting. And you see you would have got burned. So you just about have to wait on a lower high up here to make sure it's reversing. And it finally gives you that right here. And a big bearish bar. I like going short right there. And there is a new high here. So first entry, and then there's a second entry long there right at the trend line again. Confirms that trend line. I like going short right there. You do want to make sure you probably got enough room to get out before that midline, just in case it bounces on it, but it doesn't. It just keeps going. Then it pulls back and gives you another. It actually goes higher and turns. It goes out the other side. It gives you a big bearish bar. You're probably coming to at least here now. And that's the first break of that trend channel, that little tight trend all the way down. So you're probably going to make a new low and probably come down to here. Normally I'd say wait on the second entry, but you're probably not going to get one on a little trim that tight. You don't have room for a second entry. And that's why you don't get one there, and why you probably can't wait on one, because if you notice there's no second entry all the way down. Then we get another reversal. It bounces it out. You actually get a close outside your trend line here. It runs up right through the EMA, pulls back, gives you a nice bullish reversal bar that bounces off the trend line again. I like going long there, just looking to ride it, hopefully all the way back up to the other side. We did make our first break here, so maybe we'll make a new high here. So that's a nice quick move. Then it comes back. You get a failed second entry short here, but that's not a very good bar. And you're just kind of going sideways here, so you really don't want to enter up in here. When this broke lower, you might consider going long because you're looking for it to retest the highs, but you just don't get a very good setup, and off it goes. And now that you've got your new high in place, I think it's too risky going long right there. You might risk that, but I just think it's crazy. But then you make a new high, first entry, pull back second entry, and look how far away you are. Lower high, you made a double top, then another lower high. You got plenty of room to get back to the EMA, and this thing, the bottom ends up falling. This was probably the trade of the day. The bottom falls out of it. And you get a runner on that easily, and it just keeps on going. Failed second entry long there, but it's right into the trend channel line. Even though it keeps creeping down, there's too big a chance it's going to bounce. And it finally does bounce, comes back, confirms the trend line, gives you another fairly bearish bar right off the EMA, right off the trend line. Plenty of room to get out. Take that short. And what I'd be looking for is a possible measured leg down, like so. And you can see we basically got a perfect measured move there. I didn't quite draw it exactly the right length, but it's close enough. We missed it by a tick or two. We actually went further, so that would have been a good target. Notice you make you're coming back here and you try to go first entry, second entry, it fails, big bearish bar. First break of this trend line. We got an overshoot, so there's a good chance you'll get a break here. So wait on a good setup and you get it right there. Just go short. Another easy move. And these moves are good for several points. I mean, even though that doesn't look like a long move, I mean, if you enter here around, just call it 28.85, this thing runs all the way down to 28.81, well, that's a 4-point move right there. You can get a couple of points on a runner right there. And of course, it bounces. You get a reversal here, which you might have considered going long right there. Notice that low. First entry, you move through it is a reversal pattern, and it does a little breakout pullback. So you really could argue for that one. I didn't like it. Let me mark it here, because it looks like you've got a break here, and it could just move up a tick or so. But you could argue for that one to at least be green. But you know, you really could argue for that to be blue. Personally, I just didn't like it. But yeah, I probably should have marked it anyway. And now you got your close outside, move to a new high, but you don't get a lower high till here. And you don't want to be going short right into that possible trend line. Everything closing there. If anything, you want to go long right there. It's a high or low. It is off a possible trend line. You got room to get out. You get a high or low right here, but there's a little bit of a double top right there. Again, you could argue for that because it does confirm that trend line, but I think you'd be better off to wait on and see if we get another pullback to the trend line, which comes here. I'll mark that one green. But here's where you get your better entry right here. Of course, it runs right up, and then we just kind of work sideways back to here. And even though that's a higher high there, there's still 2 legs back. Nice. I mean, that's a big bullish bar. It's way bigger than any 8 ticks, but you know, when it gets volatile like this, you just about have to take it. So you can enter there, then it comes back again and gives you a second entry long for sure, because there's a new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry, and you can see then it kind of takes off. The smarter traders wait on the right setups. I mean, even, you know, there's a reason to argue for that one. But you can see once you got that second entry, and again bouncing off the trend line, then you get the big move up. And that gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. So it picked up as the day went on, but it was a little slow early on. And the really odd thing again about today is that even though the trend was mostly up, you only had a few long opportunities, and most of your good trades were shorts. And so it's kind of a unique day, and it's again, the volatility's picking up. Somebody asked me that, what's the average volume? It doesn't really matter. We don't care what the volume is. That's just the way the market is. Sometimes you're going to trade it. I mean, particularly the ES. The only thing you really want to worry about is there enough volume that you don't have slippage. And as long as you're trading regular trading hours, you're never going to have to worry about that much with the ES. I don't ever remember getting any slippage during regular trading hours. Now, after hours, be real careful. I don't even like to trade it after hours. Maybe starting around 7 o'clock Central Standard Time is about when it starts to move. So that's why I start trading around 7. And a lot of times there's some really good moves early on like that. But don't try to trade it much any earlier than that. You might, maybe 6:30 a.m. Some mornings you're going to just sit there and be bored for that 6:30 to 7:30 hour. So 7 o'clock is a good starting time, and it's usually safe to trade then. I just wouldn't try trading after. I really don't like to trade after 2, but definitely in the overnight session, don't be trying to trade that, and just stay out of it. But other than that, if it's regular trading day and it's not a holiday, you pretty much can trade it during regular business hours. You're not going to worry. You won't have to worry about slippage. So just keep that in mind. But that's pretty much it for today. Again, the volatility's picking up. Well, let me back up. I think I was trying to talk about the volume, and I kind of got sideswiped there. But we don't really care what the volume is. You're going to have slower days and faster days. Obviously, when the volume is really big like this, the moves are quick and easy, and they move fast, and usually can get some runners out of them. So I like that part about volatility. But if you're used to the slow market, which it has been pretty much most of the summer, then it gets a little concerning. And I've had a couple of people send me emails like, "Wow, why is the market so crazy?" Well, it's really not. I mean, it's just been slow over the summer, and it's starting to pick up now. And we like when it picks up. Really, it's going to move a little quicker, and some of your bars are going to be bigger. So keep that in mind. Just make sure you're not. You need to try to stay in that 2 point safety stop rule. But if you can't put your stop below the swing, like every one of these swings, if you enter long, your stop has to go below them. Don't try putting it 8 ticks below and entering the normal way, because the noise will stop you out and you'll get stopped out of a perfectly good trade. So you still have to follow the rules. So if you can't get in the trade, either you got to skip it or you just got to take it. Honestly, once you start to understand price action pretty well, you don't so much have to worry about that if you just follow the rules and put your stop where it's supposed to go. And but until you get really good at this, I would stick to the 8 tick rule, the 2 point rule on your stop, because if you don't, your losses are going to be too big, and you're going to burn. You're going to get burned. So don't try to skirt the rules until you're ready to skirt the rules. So, but that rule's in there for a purpose, and I hate to even mention that I don't worry about it too much anymore, because people will say, "Well, you don't worry about it. Why should I?" But you need to make sure you can read this chart really well, and you need to make sure you're winning a whole lot more than you're losing before you start to do that kind of stuff. So I'll probably regret having brought this up, but just to, so everybody understands that it's, at some point you may not have to worry about that 2 point rule, but till you get consistently profitable and you're making money, pretty much every day, then you need to be following that rule, because if you don't, you'll wipe out your trading capital, and you'll blow your account up, and you'll do dumb things, and you'll be emailing me saying, "Why'd you tell me I didn't have to worry about it?" Because you do have to worry about it. So anyway, enough about that. Hope I don't regret having brought that up. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.